Welcome to From Home to Hustle. I'm Kelly Campbell, and I'm passionate about sharing stories of incredible stay-at-home moms who are building businesses and creating income from home. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Kelly Campbell. If you are new here, this channel is to highlight other homeschool moms' journeys of how they balanced home and starting a business or stepping into the online space or creating courses, whatever that looks like to make that supplemental passive income. So you are in the right spot if you have find yourself like, I'm a homeschool mom and I believe God has more for me. I just don't know where to start. This is your place for encouragement. Today, my guest is Tammi. Tammi is a retired homeschool mama with 2 young adult children. So she's already been there, okay? Tammi and her husband own a working farm. She also runs a nonprofit for people with memory loss and markets for an online wellness company. Tammi, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I am so glad you're here. Whenever I heard, a little bit of your story and everything, I was like, people need to realize, like, even though you're not in the trenches of homeschooling anymore, you've
Mhm.
been there and you started your online marketing there. And so let's talk about that. So, what made you decide to get into the online wellness community?
Well, the main reason was for the health of my family. My father is a survivor of cancer, and there was just some things I saw there, and I wanted to prevent my kids to ever go through what I had gone through watching my father go through all the treatments that cancer brings. And then the other part of that was bringing in a little extra money and sharing that information, helping other families. But by doing that, I was able to bring in a little extra money to help pay for competitive sports or vacations, things like that.
Mhm. Mm. So, did you find yourself in the beginning when you were first getting started, not meeting those goals and feeling frustrated at first?
There were definitely times for sure, because going from being a stay-at-home mom then to, put on a different hat. And sometimes it takes some sacrifice.
Hmm.
And sometimes I might miss a game of the kids, or I don't get to tuck them in at night because I have a meeting or
Hmm.
things like that. And when you're used to doing it all the time, taking away from that a little bit was a little bit of an adjustment.
Ooh, yeah.
And hard on my mama heart.
Yeah.
But now that I'm on the flip side and my kids are adults, they don't remember me not tucking them in a couple nights, here and there, or missing a few games.
Yeah.
So it was totally worth it. My struggle then, I see now that that was a me struggle, not a family struggle, for sure.
Okay, I was just about to say, let's talk about the mom guilt for a second because it's going to happen. It's
Yes,
going to happen when you're building a
100%.
business and you're home, especially if you've been home for a certain length of time where your kids are used to like having you like your attention 100% or 1000% because that's us moms, we are overachievers.
Mhm.
There is an adjustment period. And I like what you said that you thought it was a family struggle, but it was really your own struggle. So let's talk about the mom guilt for a little bit. Like just some practical things. How do you navigate that when you're trying to build something?
I think looking at your why,
Mhm.
looking at the long term is what helped push me through.
That's good.
Um, because my why was I wanted to have a healthier, home for my family, but also I wanted to be able to stay home. And on a one income family, you're on a tighter budget. And for
Right.
me to be able to bring in a little extra money, that took some stress off of my husband,
Hmm.
and allowed us to still be able to do things. Like I said, my kids were in competitive sports, and that's not cheap.
Right.
And to go do little vacations, take little trips, go out to eat, or
Yes.
do the little extra here and there.
Yes.
And that to me was more important. So that was where my why was. And then looking at the longer term goal, also showing my kids that hard work, when you want to do something, there's going to be sacrifices, because that's just life. And so them seeing me work and sometimes not being able to do X, Y, Z. And even though I explained it to a mom would love to be here, but
Right.
mommy has to go to work. But mom's cheering you on. I love you. And they get home. Okay, tell me all about it. That type of thing. That showed them, I think, um, some work ethic too, and how to push through and how to sacrifice so that they can be successful. Things don't just come super easy.
I like what you said about keeping your why. Like, it says in Habakkuk, like, write the vision. Well, sometimes our
Mhm,
vision is our why. But that was for me. Like, we were predominantly a one income family, and we
mhm,
were struggling. My husband had just gotten laid off, and then he found another job, and so we were climbing out of debt, and we were in a place where we couldn't even buy groceries because our credit cards were being declined because they were just maxed out. And I
mhm,
remember thinking, like, okay, I can't just go get like one of those 9 to 5 jobs. Like, we had 4 kids in 4 years. And so they were young, they were super young at the time. And we were not going to sacrifice our time of sending them off to school. And so I was like, God, what am I going to do? Like, I can't just go get a job.
mhm,
But I want to help. That's whenever the Lord gave me that scripture. And it's like, I think it's Second Kings chapter 4, when Elijah, I get them so mixed up because they both had similar stories. But
Yes.
he said to the widow, what do you have in your home? And I remember thinking, God, what do I have in my home? And I actually started a baking company that paid for our entire Christmas that year. And I remember going, okay, this is my why. Like, we needed to get out of debt. My
Mhm,
husband needed to have some of that stress taken off of him. And we needed to better our family and get up out of that pit a little bit.
mhm,
And the
mhm,
Lord, when you make that decision, I've realized that He's so faithful, and
mhm,
He expedites things,
mhm,
He accelerates things, He breathes life on them. And that's what I noticed in my story.
mhm. And keeping God at the center of your business.
Mm,
And again, showing that not only,
yes.
for yourself, but for your kids, is God was going to provide. He's going to show you the way. It may not be in our timing. And
Yeah, yeah.
that's where you were saying the frustration. It may not be in your necessary, necessarily timing, but
Right.
he's going to provide. And you're going to notice what he does provide is going to fill our needs for
That's so
sure.
true. Yeah, I mean, he's never failed. I remember once just crying out, and the Lord was like, I'm right here. Like, I'm
Mhm,
not far off. I'm right here in the midst of all of this. And what comfort that we have that we serve a God who is with us. I love that
yes.
so much. Okay,
Yes.
so let's talk about like some of the challenges that you had. So how old were your kids when you decided to, like, first of all, run a nonprofit? And how old were they when you actually started your online wellness marketing with that?
So my online wellness started when my kids were in, I want to say either my youngest was in kindergarten or first grade.
Okay.
And when I first started, they were in public school. We had started with, I was still a stay-at-home mom, but they were in public school, and then I brought them home. And then with the nonprofit, I brought that in because that is more of me outside the house and having to be in a specific place.
Mm,
My son was probably 16, 17 years old. So at that point with homeschooling, he was able to kind of do things more on his own.
yeah,
And my daughter then would have been 2 years younger than that. And there was times I took her with me
yeah.
um, to, work with me doing the nonprofit. So the nonprofit is a day respite. So I'm taking care of people that have Alzheimer's and dementia while their caregivers get a break. So it was a little bit more, it was a good timing for me. And God just kind of, I wasn't looking for it. God just kind of put it in my lap, and I
Mhm.
felt like that's something I needed to do. But the timing was right because my kids were at that age that they could,
Yeah.
either do things on their own or
Yeah.
come with me.
That is true. I mean, like, when I started the baking, my kids were super little, and so whenever I was like showing up to markets or shows or whatever, they were all in tow. I had four
Hmm.
in 4 years. It looked crazy and chaotic. We looked like a typical homeschool family,
Uh-huh.
but they've learned a lot from that. And now that they're older, like, sometimes I give them the choice, like, do you guys want to come with me? And most of the time, because I have teenagers now, they're like, we'll stay home. We're good. So I've
Yeah.
been through both of those seasons, starting with them young and continuing with them older, or starting things new with them getting older. Is that
Mhm.
whether you find your children young or old, the transition is always going to happen.
Yes.
Working through that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So, so how do you keep God in the center of all of this?
Well, when for a couple different things. One is I have always thought stayed, plugged in at church, made sure that my circle is there and holding me accountable. My, family all holds each other accountable, especially now, that the kids are adults. The nice thing is the team I work with, we all hold each other accountable in our faith as well. And so that's very important to all of us. So that is definitely a big part of my business.
Okay.
And so, and it's always been a big part of my life. That always comes first. So I wake up now before anybody else wakes up in the house. And I find that time with just me and God. That's how I start my day. I don't answer any text messages, emails, anything like that. I have my one-on-one time, me and God. And then I'll do some work. And then I also, to fit my exercise with the wellness aspect, but just for myself, I'm at that menopausal stage. There's things I got to make sure I'm doing. And so part of that is walking. And so I walk, and that's when I get my worship music on. I don't take any phone calls typically during that time. That's just me, the dogs, and nature, and God just having some downtime. Because if I don't unplug, you can become part of the world and be overwhelmed by the world very,
Yeah.
very easily. And so I try to make sure that there is one-on-one time with me and God daily.
Oh, that's so true. I've noticed that whenever I don't get that time in with him,
Mhm.
um, you can tell in my day I get more frazzled, I'm a lot more
Mhm.
stressed, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm rushing a lot more. And it's always quality over quantity anyways. And so even if
Mhm.
I only have the 10 minutes in the morning with him, um, I find that that's even more powerful than if I had had an hour because the Lord is like, I just want your heart, I just
Yeah.
want the quality of my time with
Yes.
you. And that is
Yes.
that is so good. Okay, so with you being in the online wellness community, d does it require like certain talents, abilities, gifts, resources, or whatever, or can just anybody start this?
Anybody can start this. We have people from all walks of life that work with us. If you can talk to somebody, text somebody, send them a message through Facebook, you can do this. It's super, super simple. That is the company's philosophy
Mhm.
is letting the average person be able to bring an income in from home. Our mission statement is helping people reach their goals. And so that could mean anything. And so really, you know, it,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it just makes it easy because again, it's open to anybody. It could be, my daughter, also does the business with me. And she started at 19.
Oh,
So
wow.
she's definitely a different, demographic
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
people that she's talking to I see people that are considerably older, like in their 80s and still doing it.
Wow.
We have
Wow.
people from the Amish community all the way to the other side,
It's
so
amazing.
we really do cover all the
So it's
things.
for everyone.
It is literally for everybody,
So how many
18 and
hours?
older.
I love that. Okay, so like how many hours per week do you think you put into this?
Um, Typically I probably put in typically probably an hour to 2 hours a day.
It's doable.
Really not, yeah, very doable. There's
It's so
times
doable.
it's 15 minutes, is what I put in for the day. If I'm really pushing for something or there's just a lot going on, there's a lot of people, it may be more than that.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I can be doing it like, for example, today, I was helping a lady, introducing her to our store, and I was doing it on the road to Costco, on the phone and doing things. So it doesn't have to be where I'm just sitting here in front of my desk. I can be when I'm doing other things as well.
Oh, that's really good. See, moms, we can do it during nap time. We can do
Mm-hmm.
it if the early morning works for you, do it if the evening works for you. I mean, so
100%.
like she said, she puts in 1 to 2 hours a day. That I mean, we got to be so much better about like prioritizing our time.
Yes.
We really
I
do.
even work with a couple of people on our team. One lady before she started this was a single mom of three kids and had three jobs.
Wow.
She says I found my lunch break or I'd get to work a few minutes early and I would make, talk to people, send out texts, things like that before she'd go into work and talk to people at her lunchtime. And then when she'd get home, laying in
Yeah.
bed type thing.
It honestly, it's like, how bad do you want it too?
It's
Like,
exactly what it
you
is.
really get whatever you choose to do, you
Yes,
really get out of it what you put into it.
that's
Um,
100% correct.
yeah, I mean, I'm learning that as well. How bad do you want that extra income, whether it's enough to pay for competitive sports, enough to cover Christmas, enough to go on a little mini vacation, or enough to start paying mortgages and buying
Hmm.
cars? Like,
Hmm.
how bad do we want it? Do we want it more than our current situation?
That's right.
That was me. And honestly, too, like with that, it's like, how bad do we want it versus how bad do we want to stay in our comfort zones? Because we
It's
have to
true.
market, we have to sell ourselves in a way, we have to market
Hmm.
our products, our
Hmm.
services. We've got to be proactive, we've got to be
Yes.
rubbing shoulders, we've got to be praying. Do we want results more than we want our comfort zone?
Hmm. Well, and God doesn't grow us if we stay in our comfort zones. He wants us to get outside our comfort zones. So,
That,
not only do you grow in faith with that, but also,
yeah.
with business, and just in life in general. Before I started this, I would not have gotten probably even on here. And I would not have gotten, in front of a group of people and especially adults. I could talk in front of kids, but in front of adults, it was a different, my nerves would get to
Yeah.
me. Now, for my nonprofit, I do a fundraiser and I get up and talk in front of hundreds of people. And, I talk to people all the time with my job. And it
Yes.
wasn't like at first, it's anytime you try something new, it's a little bit, hard. But then
Mhm.
once you do it a couple times, and then it's like no big deal.
It's true. And honestly, too, like if you don't think you can do something down the road, look back over the last 2 years of life and see what are you doing now that you would have never done just 2 years ago or
Hmm.
five.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then put that in the perspective of, okay, where do I want to see myself in 6 months? Where do I want to see
Hmm.
myself in a year? Because nothing's going to grow if nothing is in the ground.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm going to say that one more time. Nothing's going to grow if nothing is in the ground. God
it's
is
true.
not going to water a seed that is sitting on a windowsill. God is
That's right.
not going to cause the sun to shine over a seed that has not been planted. So that's just
That's
what
good.
I
That's
get.
good right there. That needs to be on a t-shirt.
Right. I have a t-shirt friend. I'm going to tell her about that whenever I get off here. I love it. Yes, God's not going to cause it to grow. And so we do have a part to play as far as like faith without works is dead. And
Hmm.
so we got to step out into that faith to get things moving. And so I love that. Okay, so practicalness here. What's one piece of advice you'd give to moms who actually want to start their own business, side hustle?
Um, First thing I would say is pray about it. The second thing is find something that you're passionate about, something that
Yeah.
because you don't want to be trying to tell people something that you're not going to use yourself.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing is, from a business standpoint, I would really look at the benefits of it and looking at um, what the potential is for
Ooh,
that company,
oh,
or business,
that's really good.
because there are things that like, hey, this may be fun for me, but you're going to be putting a lot more effort in than the money coming in. Like you need to make your time count. As a busy mom, your time counts, and so you need to make sure that the time that you're going to be taking away from your family or putting into this is going to be beneficial.
Amy, that's actually really good. Like I'm actually speechless about that because as busy moms, our time is valuable. And
Hmm.
so I like what you said about finding the research and finding what's going to help so that you're not spinning your wheel. So you're not spending all this extra time putting into something and taking away from your family. That's the other balance that we were talking about. That's the balance. You
Hmm.
don't You got to put the time in, you got to put the effort in. But on the flip side of that is don't be putting so much into something that's not going to go anywhere. And then you eventually take away the time from your family.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
that's actually
Definitely.
very valuable.
Right. Well, and I mean, if I was doing something that I wasn't passionate about, then for one, you're not going to want to do it.
Yes,
But
exactly.
then again, like they said, if there's things that you might be passionate about, but the benefit on the other side financially isn't worth your time. And our time is precious, and we want to make sure that we take as little time away from our family as we can.
Yeah, so true. Well, so do you have any last practical advice, maybe little golden nuggets or any encouragement that you want to share?
I think surrounding yourself with people that are going to be supportive
Great.
of you, and not only supportive of you, but making sure you're supportive of them. And not everybody is going to love and be all about whatever your business is.
Hmm.
And that's okay. It doesn't have to be for everybody. Not everybody has to love what you're doing. But if that's where God's kind of called you and you feel like this is what's the best for your family, I definitely say that's where you need to be.
Yeah,
Um, and keeping God in the center of it, because without him, it the frustrations, there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days in any business we do. To have a strong foundation to get through those times, for sure.
you do. You need to be confident in the choices that you make, for sure.
Hmm.
That's really good.
Hmm.
All right, so one last question.
Okay.
What are you having for dinner tonight?
I am having, we cut up skirt steak and I marinated it with this new recipe. So we're doing that with some zucchini and some rice on the side.
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. I usually ask that, or is your house dirty or clean? But because you have a little bit older kids, I figured your house.
It's dirty.
Oh,
And that's because my kids are older. Both my kids have their own businesses. My son is a fishing guide,
okay.
and right now he is still home because he's still building his business as well as building a home. He does have property, but he's in the process of building a home, and
Wow.
so
And how,
he's
wait,
here.
really quick, how old is he?
He's 23.
And he's building a
Yeah,
home and he has his own business. Okay. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yes, yes. And so he's running a business out of our house, right? So he's got his stuff. And when they get older, I feel like, when they're babies, they have the big stuff, but not as much. When they're older, they have a lot of stuff. And then my daughter's 22 and she is a nanny to 6 kids
Oh my gosh.
and works a lot of hours on top of doing the wellness business with me as well. So she's in and out. So, girls, it's trying an outfit, that type of thing. So
Mhm.
my house, I mean, it's not filthy. It's not like it's just
Right.
there's stuff. There's just
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. It's not like it's dirty and things like that. It's just, it's messy. There's a difference.
It's it's like more cluttered. I would
Yes.
say there's just stuff. And we
Yep.
just got back from Costco, so right now there's boxes and things everywhere.
I think I still have a box like right here of my last Costco trip. Probably should put that away, but I've been busy. So what can we say? There's a lot of grace that needs to be given to us for
That's
ourselves.
right.
A
That's
lot of
right.
grace. And
That's
so,
right.
well, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate all the practical advice. How can people find you?
You can just find me on Facebook. It's Tammi Reardon. It's super simple. You'll see me and my husband on Instagram. We're Reardon Ranch.
Okay.
And yeah, just
Okay.
find me on there, friend me, send me a message, whatever works.
I love that. Yeah, I'll put your links in the descriptions. And so
Okay.
that way people can find you and everything. Well, Tammy, thank you so much. I really appreciated this. I loved the practical advice. I loved all the little golden nuggets that you gave. And I think it's great. And I really hope that you guys were blessed by this too, that if you want to get into the online wellness community, you guys can reach out to Tammy. I'm sure she can fill you in on all kinds of information on how to get started. If you're still in the process of like, okay, I know I'm supposed to do something, I'm not really sure. That's actually where I come in. I am starting a one-on-one coaching to help you find your niche. So I will have all that in the description below. Until then, guys, let your light shine before all men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Until next time, be blessed.